Hey guys, Rochelle here with Amethyst Ascension. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be doing a hashtag. This one is called Tarotthroughmoviegenres. This was started by Quinn over at Lucid Moons, and they gave 13 different prompts for different types of movies. However, I've added a few of my own. I believe the first time I seen this was on Tamipie's channel, I think. Not 100% sure, but I think it was. So I'm going to put hers down below. I thought hers was really good. And I'll also put a link over to Quinn's original video on this. Now, Quinn got all really technical into the psychology behind the different movies and stuff. I'm not going there. I am just enjoying it because I am a huge movie buff. And I don't know if I'm even going to use the definitions that they put for these particular genres. I'm just going to do it from my point of view kind of thing. Okay? So what I've done, just to give you an idea into this brain of mine, is I have put some of the different movies that I loved in each category so that you can understand. Now, I am picking a few for each one of these categories as well, because why not? Because I can, right? Let's have some fun with it. And I hope to see more people doing this as well. So the first one is sci-fi. And for me, some of the movies that I loved that were sci-fi is like Dune. I loved Dune when it came out as a kid. Paul Muad'Dib, right? Star Trek, love Star Trek. Stargate, the actual movie that had Russell Crowe, or not Russell Crowe, Kurt Russell, and what is his name? He played in The Blacklist. Damn it. Anyways, I know it. I just having a brain cramp as usual. And Star Wars. Those were I love sci-fi, period. Okay? So some of the decks that I thought of were one, Dream of Nile Tarot, because when I think of Egypt and the pyramids and all that, I think of Ra and the Ra group, and I think of, aliens, and I think of Stargate, right? And the being that was actually extraterrestrial that came down, and there was different portals and all that. But it made me think of this super cool spin on Egypt. It looks, this looks like the things that they had, that they used, energy weapons. So this makes me think of Stargate. Another reason I love it. Look at that. And the Ascension at the pyramids, right? This was just, I love this deck. It is just my favorite Egyptian deck, and it's gorgeous, and it's pure luxury working with it. It gives awesome friggin' readings. Hello. Sci-fi right there, right? Yes, so that's one of them. As I said, there's a few of them. So that's one of them that makes me think of sci-fi. Believe it or not, ancient Egypt makes me think of sci-fi. Of course, the Star Trek. Gotta have the Star Trek, right? I love this deck. The creators of this actually reached out to me because they noticed, they had seen my walkthrough, and they noticed that I didn't have the book and told me how I could get the book. So, by itself, because I didn't see that copy. This is the original, but I'm telling you, and I watched this repeatedly when I was a kid. This was on reruns. I'm 53, so this was our equivalent of sci-fi TV, other than, and I loved all the movies too. And I loved the current movies and the current series. I mean, we watched The Next Generation and Discovery and the new ones that are out right now. But it all started with this, right? The original series. These cards are so good. So good. If you're going to get it, get the copy with the guidebook. So there's that. Another thing that I think of for sci-fi is the Oracle of Portals. Like in Stargate, you would find the portals, granted they all looked like the Stargates, not necessarily like these different kinds of portals. This is kind of like sci-fi meets fantasy, right? But portals in general make me think of sci-fi. And it also makes me think of even like Stranger Things, like the portals. And I mean, that is so cool. So the different Stargates, or even like warping, you know, teleporting, I should say, warp speed and teleporting and all that. That one makes me think of Stargate Atlantis. I liked that series too. So anyways, this deck, which is the Oracle of Portals, makes me think of also like the series, the Stargate series and the Stargate movie. Granted, the Stargate movie definitely had more of an Egyptian theme, but if you watch the show, you see that they would portal into many different places, right? And then the other one is the new one that came out, the Cowgirls and Aliens, because this one is a cross between Western and sci-fi, which you don't normally see. Like, I loved the newest Predator one. Oh, I don't even remember what the name of that was. But it was where it was like out west with the Native Americans, right? But I do remember seeing the movie Cowboys and Aliens. It had James Bond dude. I don't remember his name. I am so terrible with names, you guys. But, and they would like cocoon them. They were like cocoon creatures, or yeah, they were just like changing people or eating them or digesting. I think that was like under a mountain or something, but it was like an old Western. So that was good. So those are the decks that really make me think of sci-fi, but I do have other ones as well, but I wanted to keep this shorter because I am a sci-fi girl, okay? I have always loved sci-fi and all different kinds of sci-fi. And I do think that the line blurs. So the next one we're going to focus on is horror. Okay, so the next category is horror. And the kind of movies that are really scary to me, because the horror, the definition is a deck that scares, frightens, or disturbs you. So, honestly, I don't really have any decks that do that. Images don't do that, really. But the idea of what kind of scares me, the kind of movies that scare the bejesus out of me is like The Exorcist, The Conjuring, Amityville Horror. You're getting a theme here, right? Like American Horror Story. When it's actual like haunting stuff, you know, you can't just like take a ball bat to them because they can reach in from different realms and and possessions and like the oh, what was the name of it? The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Oh, my goodness. No, no, no. Okay? That kind of stuff gets me. So, the one that I could think of was the haunted house because it's kind of like that theme. I remember seeing this movie, oh my gosh, so many years ago when I was a kid. And it was This House Possessed. And it's like the house came alive. And it was like, or probably like AI technology. And it had like gates on the doors. And it had like automatic locks. And it could control, it was like a smart home, right? It could control everything. Well, it fell in love with the woman that lived there. She lived by herself. I don't know if you've seen this movie, but the house itself like was trying to trap her. Oh, here's another one. That one got me. The Shining. Red rum, right? The twins. So that kind of stuff, that's what scares the crap out of me. I like watching it, don't get me wrong. I like watching the haunting stuff. But I have to watch it during the day hours and then watch some comedies afterwards because I don't want to fall asleep after watching a horror film like that. That's like horror to me. So the one that I thought of was The Haunted House. Although this deck seems like a B movie to me. I've joked about it. It is an awesome deck, don't get me wrong. But it's that idea of hauntings and haunted house and, oh gosh, like 13 ghosts and what was it, like room 33 or what, just crap like that. Okay, stuff like getting stuck. So this deck I thought of, and other one I thought of was the Myths and Legends Tarot, because it's got like the different kinds of, not all of them, but some of like Bloody Mary. Like if you say her name 3 times in the mirror, you remember like the urban legends and stuff like that when you were a kid. That scared right there. Bloody Mary. If you look in the mirror with like under only candlelight and you say Bloody Mary 3 times, she'll appear and then kill you or whatever. You know, it's like legends and stuff like that. Now this, I'm not really 100% happy with this deck. So it is going to be one that I'm giving away. It's cool. It's just really dark, and the artwork is really dark. It's hard for me to see. And it's just not really my jam too much. But yes, the Myths and Legends Tarot is one of them that I thought of for horror. So now let's move on to the romance. Okay, so for romance, some of the movies that I have here that are my favorites, but oh my gosh, I mean, I love romance movies, love movies, romantic comedies, you name it, I love them. So, The Notebook, gosh, I love Nicholas Sparks, I loved Nights in Rodanthe, I loved The Longest Ride and Dear John, and The Last Song, and oh, just love them. I loved The Wedding Singer. I also love like 50 First Dates. Those are so fun. I love like time period pieces like Pride and Prejudice and Jane Eyre, and I adore Bridgerton. Okay, so when it comes to love, I mean, I love it all. No pun intended. So I have a few decks here that I thought of that feel just really romantic to me. One was the Tarot de la Nuit, because I also love Interview with a Vampire. I like Vampire Diaries, and because I mean that not all of it was romantic, but some of it was romantic. But the storyline of falling in love, I was always rooting for Damon, you know, and Elena. But so I think even Dracula, it's a very romantic movie. So this deck feels super romantic to me. Yes, fantasy also, but romantic. These genres definitely, they have blurred lines, right? Love is very blurred. So that's one of them. But really, my favorite is the time period pieces. Oh, gosh, you remember, like, Cold Mountain? Oh, I even loved the soundtrack for Cold Mountain. But the ones that I mentioned, like Pride and Prejudice and, you know, like all the Jane Austen. I even loved, like, Becoming Jane. I loved Atonement. And I know that's not Jane Austen, but Pride and Prejudice and the Bridgerton. I know that's not movies, but they could be movies. You know what I mean? I loved, like, all different time periods. I love, like, this reminds me of, like, Victoria, Queen Victoria, and the love that she had with Albert. This makes me think of, like, a Southern belle, so, like, North and South. Yeah, just, so this is a super romantic deck to me, the Revival Art. Love it, love it, love it. Also, the Victorian Romantic. This is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I loved, like, watching, like, Borgia and Medici's. And, like, Marie Antoinette, and, you know, I just got done watching, what, The Empress, and, what is it, this, anyways, I don't remember all the names, but this is my jam right here. I love these kind of, even when they're bittersweet, because I feel like love itself is bittersweet. None of us are getting out of it alive. So unless we go exactly at the same time, all love is bittersweet, right? So, yes. Oh, Camelot, yeah. That just made me think of that one. I have a couple more for romance. The Modern Love Tarot. I love, like, modern rom-com movies as well. And this one feels very love and romance in all its different forms, right? So sometimes being romantic is just being practical. You know, vacuuming the floor for your loved one if they're busy, or taking care of the babies if when you come home your wife just needs a break. You know, doing the dishes. Yeah. You want to get me going? Vacuum the floor. But I mean, like 50 First Dates, and oh, I loved. I said it. Oh, yeah, The Wedding Singer. I love that, and I love the soundtrack, you know, being in the 80s and all that. And the other one was this one, the Stretch Tarot, because, like, the Notebook, when I think of, like, the 20s and 30s, 40s, I think of this deck. Obviously, there's different time periods in this as well, but it makes me think of that time period. So, like, the Notebook, that's probably one of my favorite romance movies ever. Love, you know, love stories. But yes, this is the Stretch Tarot, and it is super romantic. Okay, so that's it for the romance. The next one is thriller. Okay, so the next one is thriller. So I've got here like the Skeleton Key, the Village, the Sixth Sense. To me, it's more of like a psychological thriller that gets me. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what was meant by it. Let's see what it says. Thriller. A deck that delivers tension, surprise, and or sense of impending doom and keeps you at the edge of your seat. So, one of them, see, for me, that feels like shadow work, okay? And although it's not scary and you want to dig in, you're never sure exactly what you're going to get. So to me, that feels like, and I adore this deck, the Pythonic Tarot. This is like Dark Goddess. You just really don't know what you're going to uncover, because hell hath no fury like a woman scorned kind of thing, right? So I love this one. This one is thrilling to work with. And it brings with it surprises, uncovers hidden things, but you want to, you just want to keep on exploring. That's what a thriller is to me. Like, you're trying to figure it out. You want to. Like The Village, M. Night Shyamalan. He is wonderful for thrillers because you, half of the time, you don't see it coming. 9 times out of 10, I figure out stuff in movies. I don't know. I have that sixth sense, you know. I see dead people. But this one also makes me, maybe it's the coloring. It's the Rackham Tarot. This feels like, and pretty sure it's not, but it feels very, like with the colors, like post-apocalyptic, like doom and gloom. It's just the artwork feels like cold winter. I don't know. It's just something about his artwork that instills like, I want to dig in, but at the same time, it's a little bit daunting and scary because you don't know what is going to get uncovered around the corner. I kind of felt that way with the Hush Tarot also. It's like a thriller. So, I have a couple other ones here. This is such a fun tag. I am such a movie buff. Another one I got is Path of Shadows Oracle cards. Got this off of Amazon. But like I said, when you're dealing with a thriller or a psychological thriller, it's like shadow work. It feels like shadow work. So uncovering like hidden things that surprise you. This is such a cool deck. Seriously cool. Some of the locations and the music, you know, that leads up to that moment, right? Sorry if that was really loud. I have such a loud voice and it carries. Deep voice and it carries. And then the other one is the Tarot of Mystical Moments. This feels like yes, definitely fantasy, but it's also a little bit stressful because, at least to me it is, because of the combinations. You don't know what you're going to get. They're just like, the pictures are all over the place. It's like a dream, right? And sometimes that dream is just freaky, right? But you want to understand why you had a dream like that, because you want to get to the bottom of figuring it out. You want to know the mystery behind it. So, Tarot of Mystical Moments definitely comes to mind. So those were my thriller decks. So the next category we're going to do is mystery. So for me, some of the movies that I could think of that were mysteries that I liked were like murder mysteries. Like Kiss the Girls with Judd, Ashley Judd, and Presumed Innocent. Now there's a series on one of them. Is it Apple? I think so. But there was also the movie, Presumed Innocent. Gone Girl, that was good. Seven makes me think of, you know, a mystery. So the decks that I thought of for that, I only grabbed a couple for this one. If I can get this open. Yeah, there we go. One of them is the Marielle. This is the second edition. It's not really scary, but when you read with this, because she really, Mary White, she was influenced by all three, Tarot de Marseille, RWS, and Thoth. And then she put her spin on it, and she brings so many different characters and stories to these decks that each card is a mystery to be solved. It is so friggin' cool. And at the same time, some of the artwork is definitely wild and possibly confrontational, depending on the person that's looking at it. But, I mean, yeah. So that's one of them that I thought of, was the Marielle. First or second edition. I just happen to have the second edition. And then the other one that I thought of, because Kiss the Girls, I don't know if you know what one that is. Kiss the Girls is the one with Morgan Freeman and Ashley Judd. Ashley Judd is attacked by a serial killer. Well, it's a guy that is like collecting women, and she's able to escape. And this guy who's collecting these women is collecting them for different things. Some are doctors, some are musicians, some are artists. It's just like, I mean, it's an older movie, probably like 20 years old now. Good God, can't believe it. But it is so friggin' good. And obviously the other one's like Seven, that's like a serial killer, right? Crazy Kevin Spacey. So I thought of magicians, martyrs, and madmen. Because even when you're learning about like a serial killer and why they do what they do, it is fascinating, isn't it? I want to sometimes watch crime stuff like Elizabeth Bathory, right? Like, crazy broad. The Emperor, Nero. This seems like a really good deck for mystery and figuring out the stories behind these individuals, what made them tick. Right? Sorry if I wasn't in. This is just wild. This is one I haven't really worked with yet. Yeah, like he's a character. Rasputin, right? I mean, they tried killing him several times and they couldn't. Marquis de Sade. What made him so damn sadistic? Anyways. Oh, Aleister Crowley. So that was my choices for the mystery. Next, we're going to be touching on action. Okay, so for action, because I was doing these with my husband at the time, I was asking, okay, give me a good example of an action flick. And the first thing he came up with was Die Hard. So I had to put it in here. But Mission Impossible, James Bond, Indiana Jones, just like action flicks. Lots of action that's going on, right? So some of them that I thought of, because that's really hard. That's a hard one. And I'm sorry, I keep on getting up in between each one of these and going and grabbing decks and then putting the old ones back because it's just so many decks. So I thought this might hurt because, oh, how funny. Because it seems like there's a lot of action and movement in these cards. So I thought of this might hurt. It is a cool deck. I mean, like, even you can feel like that snow coming down, you know? A lot of motorcycles and movement in this deck, it feels like. See, even the way that the hand comes out, it's like you can see the movement of the hand coming out from the lines in the clouds. Smoking a cigarette. The devil's smoking a cigarette, right? The birds are flying overhead with a knife. Yeah. So this is one of them that I thought for action. Another one I thought of was Tarot of Oneness, because there's a lot of first person, or it's essentially first person perspective. So everything is an action, essentially. Whether you're walking towards something, or you're riding a horse, or you're playing with an otter, or you're filming sea life, you're standing next to a waterfall, you're face to face with the devil. You know, you're looking off of the side of a cliff. This is a very action feeling deck. Because you are the person that is in that card. You are the one that's standing half on rocks and half in the water. You know? You're the one having tea or coffee with your friends. You're one about ready to step down into life. So, yes, definitely the Tarot of Oneness is another one that definitely feels like an action-oriented deck. More so than a lot of other ones that don't always seem like so action. You know, movement. That's really what I want to say is movement. And another one is the Spellcasters. This one feels very energy. Like a lot of energy is being put out in this deck. Which makes me think of movement and action. This is a beautiful deck. Even there's more action there. I love that. You can actually actively see them drinking. Not just holding the cup, but look at that. Yes. Feels very powerful, very filled with passion and motion and activity, excitement and spell casting. So those are my action decks. Next is fantasy. Okay, so the next one is fantasy. And for me, the movies that I put for this particular one are Avatar, Lord of the Rings, Clash of the Titans, Excalibur, Harry Potter for fantasy. So I thought of Earthly Souls and Spirits Oracle. I have a version that came from Make Playing Cards. This feels very fantasy to me. Beautiful. Dreamy colors. Love this deck. So that's one of them. Yes. So another one I thought of is the Odyssean Tarot for fantasy. I like Clash of the Titans and like Greek myth, fantasy, movies, shows, whatever. I like watching that kind of stuff. What was it like? Gosh, I don't even remember all the names of them because I'm terrible with names. But movies like The Fall of the Titans and what was it, like Prometheus, or I don't remember. I don't remember all the names, but so I thought of the Odyssean. This is a new wrap that I got from Etsy, which I just adore. So another one I thought of is the Pharaoh Tarot. You're literally delving into another realm. If that's not fantasy, I don't know what is. It's beautiful. I could also say Tarot of the She, but I see that more as not really even fantasy. I see that more as like truth. I could see that more as like a documentary. It feels more real. That deck feels like a direct connection with the she. This one feels like delving into that world. So that was another one. The Pharaoh. Another one is the Raven's Wand Oracle. This one definitely feels like a fantasy world as well. It's just so beautiful. I think this is actually based off of books. So this is definitely probably fantasy books. Fantasy genre. But it's so cool. And I've got one more. The other one I've got is the Inner World Tarot. This is a new one by Kelly Fitzgerald and Patrick Fogarty. So Kelly's from Kelly Truth and Story and Patrick from The Living Wheel. They just recently came together and created this deck. And it is like different, it feels like different lands, right? It's all inside of you, but it's the fantasy land inside of you. I think it's so beautiful. They did a really beautiful job on this deck. I mean, right there, look at, that's the map. You can so use this in conjunction with your other decks and immerse yourself into this land, right, of mystery and intrigue and inner reflection and self-discovery. It's beautiful. So those were my decks for fantasy. Okay, so the next one is comedy. And the movies that I thought are really funny, granted there's tons of them, but just a small little list is like Ted. I loved that. Step Brothers, Tommy Boy, Dumb and Dumber, right? And I love romantic comedies also, but the couple of decks that I thought of for this was the Catacorn Tarot. Between this and the Doggy Tarot, there's just so many cute little scenes in it that are just fun and cute. So that is like, because I don't really look at any of my decks really like they're comedy, other than this one. The Hermit Tarot. I got this on Make Playing Cards. And some of them are not funny, but your family won't like me. I am manifesting you. Time to ground yourself. What do you want? Do you think about me too? Do you even see me that way? They are waiting for you. See, this isn't really that funny, but if in certain context it can't be. This is funny. I can't even look at you right now. This particular deck, Courtney and I were doing some readings. Courtney from Aries Witchcraft. We were doing some readings one day, and I think we had tried rephrasing the question, and this card came up. We both just laughed and said, okay. I think the tarot is getting pretty pissed at us, you know, for, you know, for still asking the same damn questions when they're given the answers. We just don't like the answers that we're getting. So this is an interesting deck. So that's about the closest that I would look at as comedies. I don't really look at tarot as comedy, really. So that one's really hard for me. So the next one is drama. And some of the movies that I could think of that were really good dramas were like Dances with Wolves. I loved that movie. Aaron Brockovich, Schindler's List, the Godfather sagas. So for that, I thought of, first of all, this one, the Runic Tarot, because I also like watching, you know, the Vikings, and that is like very drama filled, right? There's action, there's love, there's murder, there's mystery, there's a little bit of everything in that series. So I love it. So that's one of them that I thought of for drama. And, I mean, I could have also done, like, I've got the Game of Thrones deck. That would have worked perfectly. But I didn't really want to do exactly themed things. And the other one that I thought of was the Tabula Mundi. It feels like a very serious, I don't know if drama is really the right word, but just a very serious deck. And when I think of drama, I think of serious subject matters, you know, serious topics. And this feels steeped in seriousness to me. Symbolism and stories, and yeah. So I thought of the Tabula Mundi for dramatic. That's really it that I had for the drama. So the next one is documentary. Okay, so like I said, the next one is documentary. And for me, I'm not one who normally watches like documentaries per se. I like stuff that is like Ancient Aliens, Oak Island, true crime stuff, history, learning about different events in history. So I like watching like the Discovery Channel, the Travel Channel, History Channel. So the things that I thought of are like the Primordial Dreams Tarot, because that is like, say, a documentary learning about like our early cave people and or early civilizations and the artwork that they left behind and how they communicated and telling us anything that we can about the way that they lived, right? The animals that were still alive when they were alive and just all that. So this one came to mind, as well as the Shaman's Oracle came to mind. So that's like deep, deep history, like early, like nomadic and, you know, that kind of documentary. I do have the Crime and Conspiracy deck, because sometimes I like watching like true crime stuff, you know, and just figuring out why people did what they did. And hearing the stories, hearing people's stories. Another one I thought of was like the Deep Blue Sea, that kind of stuff. Now, I like that, learning a little bit about that, or like space, theories on like ancient aliens and stuff like that. So Deep Blue Sea, I was thinking about this deck, which is the Oracle, the Ocean Oracle by Hattie Thorne. I got this off of Etsy. So it makes me think of the Deep Blue Sea documentary. It's beautiful. I like watching also like when you learn about like strange places on the earth, like they do like satellite images and come across like these strange anomalies that happen on planet Earth, you know, in remote areas. That kind of stuff is really cool. Like Oak Island, the two brothers that are excavating where they believe that the treasure is, like from Knights Templar treasure that was left in Oak Island, Nova Scotia. And that's, I mean, it's kind of like a documentary. It's an ongoing documentary because as they uncover new stuff, so you're watching the whole thing, that kind of stuff. Ancient Aliens, a lot of that is theorizing, but a lot of it is also based on like different cultures and history of religious workings, mythologies, you know, historical art, and just stuff that's found, you know, hieroglyphics, looking at the Sumerian tablets, just you name it. That feels like documentary stuff to me. So for that one, I chose the Mystic Martian Oracle. I know some people would probably say this is like a comedy and for fun, but for me, it's not, because I believe in all this. So I believe in these different aliens, and that we come from different star seed or star galaxies, and that we have communication with these beings, and we channel information from these beings, and you know, I believe in all this. Let's put it that way. So, oops, sorry about the noise. Somebody's got to be a hot rod. So cool in their vehicle, right? Man, do I sound like an old crotchety lady. So those are the ones that I picked for like Ancient Aliens, Oak Island, Deep Blue Sea, stuff like that. I like exploring what they do also, like, you know, different like planets and space exploration and stuff like that as well. So the next one is animated film. So for animated film, I'm not a huge like cartoony person or animated films, but we loved Toy Story when that came out. The kids were little. We loved Shrek. I still love those. I sing the damn songs all the time. Did like the Rugrats. I did like some of the stuff, right? Just because that was when my kids were little and we would watch those things with them. Lion King, I loved Lion King. My daughter loved Lion King. She was obsessed with Simba and Nala and, you know, the whole kit and caboodle. She had so many stuffed animals that were Lion King. She just loved, and she still, to this day, she loves cats so much. So when I was thinking about animated, because I did have an anime deck, and I passed that along to somebody. I actually have had a couple of them, and passed those along to other people, because it's just not my jam. I mean, my kids were into Pokemon and, what's the other one? Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! My son had Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, trading cards, and Dragon Ball Z, but I never liked any of that, right? I never got into it. But I thought of this one. These are really cute. They kind of look like animated characters, but they're so pretty. The colors are just beautiful. This is the Lovely Ladies Tarot. And I bet you it's going to go really good. Let's just see right quick. Really good with the Cowgirls and Aliens, which is also kind of like silly and cartoony to me, right? Animated. That could be like an animated series. I bet you these are going to go perfect. I'm sorry about the lighting, guys. I have to have the lights in here because then it's too dark, you can't see. But look at that. Perfect pairing. Right there. Perfect damn pairing. Yeah. So, moving back on with this. So the Cowgirls and Aliens, I could see that also fitting into the animated, oops, just losing stuff over here, into the animated series, as well as the Lovely Ladies. And I have one more I want to show you. So this one is called Awaken Tarot. And this just feels like to me a cartoony version or animated version of the RWS. And I like it better than the traditional RWS. But it feels very cartoony, kind of animated. The cardstock is really great. The little book is great. The backs are really cool. So yeah, this is a really cute deck. So that was the animated film series. The next one is Western. And gosh, I don't really have anything that's like Western. Yeah, so I'm going to skip that one. I don't really have any decks that remind me of any Western genre movies. However, I will tell you that some of my favorite Western movies are like Young Guns 1 and 2. Loved those. I'll Make You Famous. I liked 3:10 to Yuma with Russell Crowe and Terminator dude. What was his name? Christian Bale. That was really good. Tombstone. I loved Tombstone. We actually went and on one of our vacations, umpteen years ago, went to Tombstone and was seen the OK Corral and all that, and it is just so damn tiny. If you blink, you're like through the town, you know. But back then, it was like bustling, right? And Unforgiven. I loved Unforgiven with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. Very good. Very good movie. Okay, so moving on to the next one, Black and White. And the movies that I thought of for that, because I'm not a black and white person for anything really, but Schindler's List was such a good movie. I was talking to my husband because I'm like, that wasn't in black and white, was it? And he goes, yeah, other than the little girl that was in red, and that was for some reason, I can't remember what he told me, but that movie was in black and white. But it was such a dramatic film and intense that it didn't feel like it was black and white. I was just so taken by the story and just wanting so badly for it to end good. You know, it was just so gripping that I didn't realize it was black and white. And this is how I feel about Tarot of the Abyss. Tarot of the Abyss is not like any other like black and white deck. There is so much feeling in these cards that it's easy to lose yourself in them. I mean, you can, that's my issue with black and white. It's usually so flat, or something that has less color. It's not like I can explore it as deeply as I can with the different facets of the color, but yeah, with this deck I can. This is like the exception to the rule for me. Other decks that are close to this are the, not the Light Seers, the Spirit Keepers, the Vitruvian version that is intense and beautiful, and that's just a sepia, right? Actually the black and white RWS that I got from US Games actually surprised me, because I thought that I couldn't read with that one, but the line work is really good with that as well, just your basic without the colors. Maybe that's one of the things that I don't like about the traditional RWS is the coloring that's done in that. I'm not a fan of the coloring on the traditional decks. But with the black and white, you can pair it with so many other things. It like opens up possibilities. So, but none of them, honestly, none of them compare to this one. This one was a game changer as far as being able to, I mean, I see Liam Hemsworth, no, Chris Hemsworth right there in what, Soul of the Sea or whatever that he, that's who it reminds me of. Beautiful. And the other movie that was in black and white that I actually liked was Pleasantville. It was so many years ago. I don't know if you even remember. It was with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon, and they were teenagers. They went back in time, ended up in like black and white, and the more and more as the movie progressed, it became color as people started like waking up. Then you started seeing more color implemented, because you were seeing it from the point of view of the people that were waking up to like some of these different concepts. You know, they were broadening their emotional landscape more or less, and as they did that, they were able to see in more color. It was pretty cool actually. But I will say, even in the black and white, it drove me friggin' crazy until the color came in. I feel so limited. It feels so limited when I'm watching black and white. I don't like it. But Schindler's List was definitely an exception to the rule. All right, so the next one is, I came up with another one, which is slasher films. So slasher and horror do not feel like the same thing. Horror for me is more like the possessions and hauntings and stuff like that. Slasher films are more like Friday the 13th, Halloween, Psycho. So I probably would have put the Hieronymus Bosch tarot deck in that category, but I moved that along to a friend because I couldn't keep it. And another one it's not slasher, but it's definitely dealing with dead and decaying bodies. That would have been the Hush tarot. I also moved that along. I gave that away. Another one possibly is the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen. I have not really went through that one a lot, so I could think of that. And these ones kind of make me feel this way. This is the Triomphe della Luna. Oh, if I can get this damn thing opened. This one and the Deviant Moon. Oops. These feel just really strange to me. They're not like slasher, but they're just like kind of like grotesque, you know? At least some of the cards are. I love the deck. It is friggin' cool as crap, but it's just weird. It's just weird to me. In a good way. In a good way. But Patrick Valenza's artwork kind of feels like slasher artwork to me. Okay, so the next category that I put up for anybody that wants to, and I don't even know if I have anything that'll go with it, is apocalyptic movies. So stuff like I Am Legend, Day After Tomorrow, Armageddon, Independence Day, Terminator. So these are all like bigger than just like disaster movies. These are like apocalyptic movies, like the end of life as we know it. You know, alien invasions, AI taking over, Deep Impact or Armageddon has to do with like an asteroid coming and destroying the Earth, or at least the people on it. Day After Tomorrow is like the weather changing so drastically that it like shifts the Earth's crust and it starts freezing things out. And just I Am Legend is like zombie apocalypse. And I don't think I have any decks that feel that way. I don't even have the zombie tarot. So if I had the zombie tarot or like tarot Z, or is it tarot? I think tarot Z. If I had those would fit into that category. Yeah. Musicals. So what I'm thinking of is like Grease 2, stuff like that, because I'm not a huge musical person either for movies. That kind of drives me crazy, but there are exceptions, like Grease. I loved that. I loved Mamma Mia. I thought that was really good. Les Miserables. I thought that was really good, but like I said, I'm not usually, other than like when they're doing like Star Trek and there's a singing episode, or like that 70s show when there was a singing episode, or when there was like you know, a Star Wars episode where they all, that kind of stuff is funny and it's fun. But in general, I'm not a musicals person. But I did think of this particular deck that makes me think of music. And I do have another deck that is on Kickstarter that I have coming, and that is like the rock and roll one, or I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's like the rock and roll Hall of Fame R&B artists and all kinds of musical artists. But this is the Tarot of Hearts. This is the one that's coming out the end of this month, July 31st through U.S. Games. This is a play on hearts and arts. So heart and arts, which your love of like music and drama and artistry, like as in painting and stuff like that. See, right there's music. So I really think of this deck also musically now. I mean, look at that Fool. And it's so colorful. It's like seeing this tarot through like a musical landscape. Like, not like rock and roll, not like that, not like R&B, not that kind of music, just like music. Just like notes, you know, and maybe even like circus music, because some of it feels like just like really just colorful. And so this one made me think of musical. So the next category I thought of was superhero. So decks are movies like X-Men, Avengers, Wonder Woman, stuff like that, because there's so much by way of those kind of movies now, right? I mean, tons of them. But I really have to think of, do I have... But you might have some decks that feel like superhero, like well, I could think of in that regard, and I just got it, where is it? The Naked Truth. Well, probably not so much the Naked Truth, but the Odyssean Tarot, or the Hellenic Oracle, because that has to do with like Greek gods. And I think a lot of like superheroes and stuff in mythology is kind of like mixed. So I could see superheroes being mixed with like demigods and gods, like in the Eternals, like that, right? So that could be kind of cool. But if you guys can think of, if you're going to do this, if you can think of decks that make you feel like they're superheroes, or like, actually any of my goddess or god decks would fall into that. So I should have. Like right here. Here's a newer one I got. These could be like, you know, kind of like superheroes or gods and goddess movies. I think of superheroes kind of like gods and goddesses, like modern day gods and goddesses. So, or alien decks could be like also like superhero, right? So that was another one. I will be putting these all down below if you want to add these kind of like movie genres. These were just ones that I love doing, and I didn't feel like they really fit too much into the other ones, you know. Yeah, you could see those as sci-fi. Yeah, you could see those as action films, but it still feels a little bit different. The other one is historical movies, like Little Women, Cleopatra, Gone with the Wind. And I'm just going to reiterate or go back to a couple of the decks that I've already put away, which is the Revival Art, feels like Little Women, also feels like Gone with the Wind, Cleopatra. I could see not necessarily that Egyptian deck that I have. That doesn't feel too much like Cleopatra. That feels more like Isis, the alien Isis. But like an older, like maybe Journey into Egypt, I don't have that, but if I did, I could see that one as Cleopatra, or, you know, any of my Greek mythology, because a lot of the Greek, well, no, that's more like Roman. So more like the Odyssean Tarot, or like the Naked Truth could fit more into the historical stuff, right? And then the last one that I thought of that you might also feel is a little bit different than the other categories, or it stands off just a little bit, and that's like paranormal religious ones. So movies like Stigmata and The Seventh Seal, End of Days, and Constantine, and The Devil's Advocate. These are movies that are like good versus evil, and, you know, angels and demons, but in a religious context. So I could see like these two decks, because a lot of it is biblical, right? But it's like paranormal, so there's spiritual things involved. So I do think of like the biblical, because they tie it into like biblical things. Another one I could think of is like Fallen, which is where Denzel Washington is a police officer, and his partner is John Goodman, and they're fighting this demon that can travel from person to person just by touch, or within a certain radius, but you have to kill the person in order to free it, in order to go to something else. But it can also go into animals and stuff like that, Fallen. So there's that. Like I said, Constantine is a guy that is fighting demons and sending them back to hell. And it makes me think of this deck. This feels like a spooky angel deck, right? Like dealing with, you know, good and bad in the afterlife, and hell, and all of that religious stuff. Stigmata, and I'm really showing my age here, but Stigmata was one that was like Patricia Arquette, where she is getting the actual like symptoms of stigmata, and it was like a religious force that was working through her in order to reveal like the Book of Thomas, which was in like the Dead Sea Scrolls. That was really good. The Seventh Seal, this was a long time ago also. This was Demi Moore, and it was about the end times, and she was pregnant, and, you know, it was about like the beginning of the apocalypse. End of Days, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was trying to help this girl who supposedly was supposed to be intimate with the devil at a certain day, and it would change her over so that she would get pregnant with the devil's son, and that would begin the apocalypse. Just crap like that. Those kind of movies. So this has been a lot of fun. Like I said, I am a movie buff, so this was right up my alley. But actually being able to find decks for all of those different genres is very interesting, because I love comedy movies and I love romantic comedies, but I don't really feel like I have a whole lot of funny decks, because I don't look at tarot like that. And I should be able to enjoy it more like that. So I hope to get more like that in the future, but it just goes to show also what kind of movies you like in different categories, or what you like to watch, a little bit about your personality too. So so I hope you have enjoyed this. I look forward to seeing anybody else that does this as well. And thank you for spending this time with me, and I am sending you love always.